Hey guys, welcome to another RC Conspiracies. Tonight we're going to have on with us Pablo from RC Amigos. It's going to be a great episode, so you're going to want to stick around for that. If you guys are watching this at a later date, you're not watching it with us live, if you look down in the description, there's a little note in there at the top that tells you the time code to jump to. And if you click that, it's like a link that takes you right to where the talking and the podcast begins. So we'll be back with you guys in just a minute.
Shady silhouetted images and industry teasers are finding their way into our homes and invading our minds. Their calculated information is delivered to feed our addiction for radio-controlled frequencies. It's an RC conspiracy. But we are on your side, cracking the RC code. Because the truth is out there. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast. Get your decoder rings ready and put on those tinfoil hats because your fearless leader is here. Please welcome your host, the lead RC conspiracist, Tony Cece. Tony Cece. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast.
Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another RC Conspiracies podcast. We're going to be having a fun conversation tonight with Pablo from RC Amigos. But first, we have the few little things that we go through at the beginning of all these. The little, I don't know, self-grandizing. I don't know what you want to call it. Showing off stuff that I do other than this. You guys let me know what it is that I'm doing, but we're about to do it. So let's do it. If you guys haven't seen the channel recently, we've had some cool stuff on here. The Bari build was epic. He came on live Saturday and he finished up the last parts of the 5th scale monster truck that I commissioned him to build for me that uses a lot of low-C parts and looks absolutely amazing. It's the Black Pearl. You guys are going to love it. And those of you that saw it did love it. We just got the Infraction V2 again, so that's really cool. You want to check that out. And I'm not on the right account. So that's cool. Can't show you all of this stuff if I'm not on my account. Because here's the other thing. There's the cool swag kind of stuff. The RC Bashing is Not a Crime shirts. RC Conspiracy shirts. You can check it all out right from the YouTube channel. Here, there's a little bit of proceeds on them. Not a lot that go to help the channel out. And you get to look cool while doing it. So win-win. The other thing is the While My Battery's Charged podcast, guys. I just recorded another one for it right before this. I was putting in double duty, and so we're going to have a new podcast probably tonight that you can load into your little iPod players and take with you to work in your little iPod minis and stuff that you've kept around from years and years ago because it's like a cassette tape now. It's retro and cool to have an iPod mini. The little, not the stick ones, little square ones. You guys know what I'm talking about. All right, so enough of that rambling and whatever we just did there. Let's bring in Pablo and say hello.
What's up? Can I say, should I just start calling you Mr. Tony Cece, kind of like Joe Rogan instead of like,
No.
Every time I refer to you, I'm going to say Tony Cece. So.
Okay. I noticed that we're both looking away from each other, so I'm going to just move us around
Oh, there
here.
you go.
So now
Hey, there you
now we're looking at each other proper. So
Nice.
good.
Yeah, I know. I've got
Feels more comfortable.
an overload of screen real estate here for me. I've got my iPad, my phone, my main screen, and then my two others on the side of me. So I'm like trying to figure out where I'm looking all the time. So
Yeah, you're watching. I know you're watching YouTube videos right now. It's RC Sparks is on. He's checked
yeah.
out. That's why he's got headphones on, everybody. He's not listening to us.
I'm a terrible I like to, so that's my thing. That's why I have so many screens. I have one screen for movies and YouTube, and the other screen is for tools, and then my main screen is just for designing. So I have a lot of screens going at the same time.
What do you use your Microsoft Zune for?
My
Is that
Zune.
for you?
Oh man, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. My family's it's a Microsoft family on my in-laws side, so my dog's freaking out. She's like, "Hey, we're supposed to be home right now." No, I actually had in college one of those transparent lime green Xboxes,
Oh,
the
wow.
original ones, but ours said "Great job, Bill Gates" on the top.
Really?
Yeah, my mother-in-law has it in storage, or not in storage, but like in a box at the
Yeah,
house.
she thinks she has it in storage. That storage has been jacked and it
I
is
know.
gone.
Well, what's funny is that we actually played that like crazy when I was in college,
Okay.
and then now we're like, we
Oops.
probably shouldn't have done that. So
No.
yeah, whatever.
Well,
Who's this
cool,
Bill
man.
Gates
We're
guy?
here. We want to learn a little bit about you, a little bit about the hobby and you and how you got into it, brought your family into it. And now we're building stuff and doing other stuff. We'll talk a little bit about your actual job because that's where you're at now
Yep.
and how that plays into some of it. But why don't you start with letting the people know who you are, RC Amigos, and how you got into this crazy hobby of RC?
Well, I'm just a normal dad. I have a lot of tools / toys that we can facilitate some of the coolness that we're doing through RC Amigos. I wanted it to, at the time, well, I wanted to kind of share the automotive. I'm a gearhead at heart, so I kind of wanted to share the automotive stuff with my kids. And what better than with toy cars, right? So I was like, here we go. But I started in RC when I was really young. Maybe 6, maybe 7. Whenever the Blackfoot and the Mud Blaster came out, I got the Blackfoot first, then the Mud Blaster. But when those came out, that was my first hobby grade RC.
Wow.
And I
Taking
remember
it way back old school, even before the Zune and the iPods.
yeah,
We're talking like the beginning of technology here.
I know. I'm talking speed controls with the rotary arms that broached. Yes, sir. Yep. So I started with that. I was always a very hands-on kid. So my grandfather and I built it from scratch, from the very, like, just how you bought them as a kit, build them up. And then I was always kind of that meticulous kid too, where I was always cleaning the tires, cleaning the wheels, doing all that kind of stuff. And started saving up, working jobs around the house, around my grandparents' house. My grandpa was an entrepreneur. Well, he owned a business for 35 years. And so I worked for him all the time, trying to make money to buy RC car stuff. And then probably, I would say when I was like maybe 12 or 14, sports took over. And I started really turning into an athlete. So RC cars kind of fell off to the back burner. And then after college is when after college, I got married, and then that's when I got my T-Max 2.5. And I always wanted a nitro car, and I got one of those. And then it was like, I would just go and try to bash the crap out of it all the time and break it and buy new parts. And back then, it's like before you have kids, you kind of have a little bit of dispensable income for just being dumb with stuff. And so that was my thing. I had my blow money out of my little financial peace university thing, and we would
Get a Dave Ramsey it in here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I would get my little money in my envelope and save it up and buy either car parts, like RC car parts, or I have an old classic truck that I've been working on for a long time. So I'd do one or the other with that, and then kind of fell off for a while. After about 2 years of playing, started my business and first I was getting crazy as a designer and fabricator for other people, and then started a business, and then kids came along, and then finally the kids got to be about, I think my son was probably 4 when we first started driving RC cars with him, and he's 6 now. And so
okay, so 2 years you jumped in it again. 2 years ago.
So it was not last Christmas, but the Christmas before is when we all got hooked up. And my first one was coming back was a Arma 4x4 granite. It was just the what's it called?
The Mega.
The Mega, yeah.
Yep.
And then I ended up putting a brushless in that. But so we had that. We had the WL toys, because that was what me and my son would do. We'd sit there and watch crawler videos, Kevin Talbot videos, your video, all that kind of stuff. We'd watch them and be like, "Oh yeah." So we ended up getting a WL toys. I forgot what it was, the little rock racer one.
Oh yeah, like the 11D79.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like green and black
green
one.
And black. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That thing was pretty solid, man, for what it was.
It is very bendy plastic.
Yes.
So they didn't usually break. It usually just bent.
Right.
It's just the servos is what I killed on those more than anything.
Yeah, all the time.
Like
all the time. Or the
billion screws to get to the stick.
Yeah, that and the drive lines. We would always blow up the drive lines on those too. But so we had that, and then we had a Ruckus 18th scale, and so it lasted for 2 months, and then I started digging up the backyard, and then it was like game over from there. I mean, it was digging up the backyard. Then we're like, let's try to get into this crawler stuff, and then we got our crawler, and then now it's like we got a racetrack, a crawling course, all that kind of stuff. So
in your backyard.
In my backyard. So and it's not
wrapped around itself.
It has
crawling course and the jumps and everything. And
it's the funny part is that it's not like we're not on acreage, we're in suburbia, and so like my poor neighbors will be out at 8:30 at night. This last Friday, I think we drove to 9:45 and had the lights on and just ripping around the course doing the slash racing, and oh man, it was obnoxious, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I was trying to see here if there's video. So here's your monster truck in the backyard.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, so that's our
water.
Yeah, that's our croc pond. So we actually have little 6-inch plastic crocodiles that float around in there.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You can see the crawler stuff off to the right. It looks like maybe a little bit of a graveyard, old bodies in there and stuff too.
And then, those are the crush cars that we made for the monster trucks.
Oh,
and then in the background, you can see we call it the Crawldera, that lights up all red. It's like concrete and stuff. So we drive up the backside of that, and then we have a bridge on the other side.
On the wall there, you concreted that upper part?
Yep.
Nice.
So like on the store, or what's it, on the Instagram TV, you'll be able to see probably more of the racetrack stuff.
Instagram TV. I know how to get to there. I don't actually.
You're just down in the middle. Nope. Right to the left.
Oh, there it is. Look at that. I knew that was there. I've been using that all the time.
All day long. Yeah.
All the time I use that. Okay, you can see it here behind your daughter.
Yep. So
I'm trying to see a crawler one. Do you have a crawler one on here?
Oh yeah. Of the track.
Yeah. Mini, yeah.
Yeah, there's a mini one.
FPV Trail Tour.
Oh yeah, that's old school. That was before we redid everything, but yeah, it's still good. We put that was when we had an infield of a crawling course rather than around the perimeter on the racetrack. So we would just sit. It was fun.
She's got the cement going on, T-Rexes. I saw you built a bridge there. You fabricated one out of metal.
Oh yeah,
like the uppers and all that.
Yep.
Anything? Did you work on this truck some too? as far as
Oh yeah.
build?
Oh yeah. That truck's all custom, and all of our cars are pretty custom. That one was my first tuber I mean, kind of tuber, but first cage truck that we've done. And that was kind of like an experiment. I used like not solid, but thick wall stainless, which I'll never do again because it was just a nightmare to bend.
To bend it, yeah.
Yeah, and then I TIG welded everything together on that one. But
See, those crush cars are so cool.
thanks, man. Yeah, that was kind of one of those things. I had an idea. Actually, the fresh squeezed RC was the first guy that got those. I was like, "Hey, man, I've got an idea." After seeing his thing, and we blasted those out on my CNC and sent them a couple to play around with. And I hadn't even got a monster truck till this Father's Day. So
yeah, and you did that cool paint job on it. The kit. Whoa, that looks tricky there. That's a clever idea with the metal.
You know what those are? Those are Those are arms to a 3D printer, a Delta 3D printer, and I just put them on there so they have little rod ends and they swivel around. So like at that time we didn't have a idea of what to do here. So now we actually have a rope bridge at the end of that part, and this is like the infield of the track. It looks way nicer now. Everything's like, I wouldn't say finished, but
and you've got water features and
and landscape lighting and all that kind of stuff now.
Yeah, it's very cool now. I'm trying to see. How was your trip out?
Yep. So we'd normally travel deep when we go with I take the family out all the time when we travel. So for work. And so this was an experiment too. So I had a time lapse rotator and I put my phone on it and I recorded live as we were out playing around, and it was just panning back and forth as we were racing.
You've really spent some time out there hooking it up for sure.
Oh yeah.
Your neighbors have to be wondering like what's going on. Oh, they've got some weird seance again with some weird whining noises.
I know. Well, the cool thing is
crazy lights.
We've got some kids that are into it too that come over and play, and yeah, it's kind of I can see in a year or two when the kids get a little older, it's definitely going to be a very cool hangout. So it'll be fun.
I lost it.
There it is.
I went too far back.
But
yeah, so this is the build I really want. This one right here with the green.
Oh yeah, the Seahawks theme truck. Yeah.
Oh, that cage is super cool.
Thanks, man.
It just looks awesome crawling around those super long shocks coming back there. Looks like it handles really well too. Oh,
it does. It took a little bit getting used to it. Because I mean, it's all the rear half is, there's no plan for it. It was just like, I think I'm going to do this, draw it up, and maybe I'll mount the shocks like this. So that was a cool one. So and I can't really tell what the links are doing either. Yeah, it's pretty. I see them now. Yeah, it's very flat. It's just a 4-link, stock 4-link, and that body was actually 3D printed. I 3D printed that body for my son, so that's his truck. Here's another shot of it. Oh yeah, that was. This was a cool one. So yeah, I remember when you did this, and you would want to protect that with that cage, with that 3D printed. Oh yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have done more. I think there's another video that you're thinking of that's throwing a huge roost or something like that. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. This one. I think it's a little. That's the other truck. Oh, that's the wrong one. Anyway, there's a lot of cool ones. You were showing us the build process at one point. I remember seeing, but here maybe it's this one. Is this the one with the roost? That's the one where I dug in. I don't know. I've had a couple. I've been playing around with the slow-mo. So here's the cool monster truck with the bombs in it and the flame job. Really cool paint. Thanks, so tell us a little bit about, you got back into the hobby. You started with crawlers, or you started with the stadium trucks? Neither. We started with. You said you started with the WL toys. Yeah, just the basher type trucks. We were playing around, and then I ended up putting a real simple circle track in the backyard, and I was going to do like multiple lanes and all that kind of stuff, and we just didn't have the room for it, so I had to kind of get creative. Kind because I want to say it's like 45 feet by 25 feet is what most of the floor plan is.
Okay.
Then it bumps out a little bit on one of the corners, but it's real condensed, but we got a lot of real estate out of it. So for racing, for sure.
And so the conversation with your wife went a little bit like,
oh, hey, there's a 9 yards of dirt showing up tomorrow. I'm going to be in the backyard. So
that was pretty much it. And she was like, okay.
No. So I forgot how we started. I was like, I think I was just, saying, well, our backyard, when we first bought the house, we were like, okay, we're going to put some sod back here. And so we redid everything. Javier, that's funny. Moving next door anytime. So we tried growing grass back there, and it just would not take. It was crazy. Our grass would just get watered out, too much water back there, not enough sunlight. And so it just turned into a mud pit. And then one summer, I don't remember if it was, it must have been before we did the track, we built a big deck because we were like, we can't do anything in our backyard and our kids are getting old enough now. So we built a big deck off the back. And then I decided just to rent one of those little dingoes, those chariot style dozers, and leveled everything out, and then brought in some fabric and brought in a ton of dirt, and then just started.
Those are not cheap to rent.
No, no. You know that, right?
I luckily had a guy that was like lazy and didn't want to come back on the weekend, so he left it all weekend.
Oh, nice.
He picked it up on Monday, so I paid delivery and 1 day's rental and got it for 3 days, basically.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
cool.
I always get nervous. So I have to rent a lot of machinery and stuff like that for work. And I always get nervous because they always have the hour counter on the machine. And I'm like, did I really, are they going to charge me for all these extra hours I squeezed in on this thing or not? So who knows?
Yeah. So they ran it by the hour of use or by the day?
Yeah, well, that's the thing I always wonder, like, if it's rented by the day, is that like 8 hours of use, or is that like, my days are never 8 hours. So I could argue that, I guess. So,
yeah, that's very true. So you got into it and then you started making some stuff as well. Were you making stuff when you had the T-Max, or is this something new when you started using kind of like your career in metal work and machine work and all that toward the hobby as well?
Yeah, I don't think I really made a whole lot. My creativity with the old T-Max was basically just painting the body, nothing crazy. But now I have kind of like an arsenal, if you will, at my shop of different tools and different machines that I can play with. So I have my CNC plasma, and then I can also route plastics on it. 3D printing has been crazy because 3D printing now, and the time from when I first 3D printed something as a professional to now is like light years jump from where it was before. We 3D printed something for work, I want to say 2007, and it was like, took a week to print, and it was a beer tap handle, and I mean, it was crazy, and like now it's like, hey, I'll send it over to my 3D printer over here and print a car body. Like, why not? So, but yeah, I mean, now it's like I have a little more feathers in my cap, some more tools in my toolbox, I guess, to make things a little easier. And, it's like with anything, I've got a little more experience from work to make things happen for the RC cars.
So I have these. This is when I first heard about you, was through Javier.
Yeah.
And buying these stands to help out. You were going to buy a car for the veteran giveaway.
Yep.
And
I think we did.
These are the coolest stands.
Oh, thanks, man. It was so weird. I was like, so we made a drone. I have one up here. We made a drone stand for Phantom 3. Was one of the first things I did because I crashed a drone on Father's Day, and I was like, it's going to be my trophy now. So I was like, all right. So I put that up there, and it's kind of
crashed it. You destroyed it then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I don't. So it's on. I think it's on YouTube. well, I know it's on YouTube, but I don't know what channel it's on. I flew a burrito to my stepdad, and I had, so my parents live 3 houses down on the backyard of me, and it was Father's Day, and he's not vegan. My sister and my mom are. And so I spent the morning making him like this like super meaty egg breakfast burrito, and I wrapped it up and I tied it off with ribbon instead of anything heavy, and I flew it over to him from our deck. And then when they cut, I mean, it's all, my sister had that view and I had my view and the drone view. And when he cut the ribbon, I punched up to fly back to my house. And as I was descending, the ribbons prop washed into the props, and down she went from like 80, 60, 80 feet straight down to terra firma. So gimbal bent the whole thing coming out to the prop.
Worth it though?
Yeah. I mean, it was cool. You know, it's like, it wasn't, it was, what was it? So this one's a Phantom 3.
They were good.
I don't know. It's like Pro or Plus. I don't know. It's the gold one. I don't know. But you know,
They
it's not like, no, but it was, I mean, I got it. Well, this one, I think I got used. I don't remember which one I got this one for, but you know, it wasn't, what do you call them? The big spider ones. I don't remember what those ones are called.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't one of those. So that was good.
That is nice.
But I ended up that's kind of how I kind of started doing all the documenting of things, is I would buy cheaper cameras and just be able to send it and fly him a burrito all day, man. It's a long flight. But I would just, you know, buy cheaper cameras. That way, if I sent something and I busted it, it wasn't the end of the world. So like I have a couple of videos where I was flying. Well, and now, you know, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done this, but I took my drone to Hawaii and I was flying off to the water and around blowholes and all kinds of stuff. And
yeah,
FAA
frowns upon a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and
there's probably helicopter tours.
Well, so that was one of the ones that I did. It was Waihi Ridge. I went all the way out. I did a sunrise hike out to Waihi, and I was flying out there. And
you heard of a guy that did this one time, and then what did he do? With one person that wasn't you, what did he do? He flew it out too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. I heard of a guy, and that found a space that may or may not have been filmed for Jurassic Park, and he flew this drone over this ridge, and then heard more choppers come, and so quickly got it back home. But dude, these choppers, they were doing tours, right, of this area. And you could tell there was one crazy, like, old school guy, because the other guys would just, nice marshmallow flying through. And one dude would come in and he would just like drop into the valley. Like I'm like, that's the guy I want. Like, I don't know what his number is, but that's the guy I want. Because he would just like drop down and fly hard through everything. And I was like, yeah, buddy, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, so, he's in control.
Yeah. Yeah. He's my Iceman.
Right.
So.
That's awesome. So you said that you did some design work and whatever 3D printing. Do you actually do designing? Because you were showing some drawings and stuff that you do. Like, did you design that 3D body for that build, or did you buy it and then print it, or
which one? The truck one?
Yeah.
So the truck one, what did I do? I got the file, and then it's dovetailed on the front, and I put a Seahawks grill on it and all that kind of stuff. So I normally start with something. I mean, because I've watched the show before. It's a lot easier to buy something that has a framework and then make it yours. Yep. And so I'm a big fan of that when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it's like part of me, I was kind of like, is this really my thumbprint on it? And then, but it's like, you got to have the chops to do the 3D modeling anyway, and make it.
And then the rest of the cage and the build for it. Yeah. The whole,
yes.
So you had something you were going to show as well. Something you're working on now. Is that something you can show us?
Sure.
Let me drop off of here and let you. There.
So this is what I was, so I'm probably looking off screen if you're seeing my video too. But this is what my next build is. This is going to be an epic build. So I'm doing a crawler off of this. I don't know which platform I'm using yet. All of our crawlers are Gen 8s right now. And I have a Wendigo. So I'm thinking about still using a Gen 8. I'm not really sure what I'm going to use. I'd really like to try an Element too, but we'll see what happens, what's in the cards, that kind of thing. And of course, right now it's like we're closer on my daughter's kit than this one.
Yeah.
But the idea of this one is I'm going to do a full exo cage. So it's narrowed a little bit just so I can fit it more. What's the word I'm looking for? More economically on the 3D printer. And so there's a couple. Let's see if I can just make this shaded instead. Or not shaded. Let's see what happens if I rendered it. So there you go.
That looks cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a full exo cage on it. I've got a bunch of cool parts that I'm going to start. Well, I've got a few already. Got a Vision RC set of wheels that are just sick that are going on this. Got a reef servo for it. I'm not sure on powertrain yet. I really, really like the Holmes Hobby 8-turn Crawlmaster Sport. That motor is rad, dude. Like, and super economical. Like $20, and that thing is like, it's like butter. I have a Hobby Wing 1080 on the truck that I'm running at right now, and it's buttery smooth on 3S, and it's got some snap to it.
Is it like a 5-turn or five pole?
5 slot.
5 slot?
Yeah. 5 slot.
I tried everything. I went for all of the things that it could have been. They were all wrong. All of them.
Whatever your name is. Yeah. No.
5-turn pole slot. That's the one.
Yeah.
Swimmy, swammy. Check the briefcase. Tonight. I was way off.
Way off. Yeah. No, it's so it's a 5 slot. It's a super rad motor. I mean, so you got the Axe system recently too. I've got the Axe 3300 kV 550.
Be careful.
Why is that?
Is it near your servo?
It is, and I haven't had any problems.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard everybody say everything about that. It's on my Wendigo, and there's like no clearance, 0 clearance between the servo and
touching each other.
Basically, yeah. And this thing,
solder them together. Maybe if you get the metal to metal contacted.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't know why. They become
one, and they're okay with each other then.
Yeah, but that rig,
separation.
man, I've done miles with that rig. I mean, literally miles with that rig, and no problem, none at all. So, it was interesting because I heard a lot of people having issues with that. And
my SCX 10.3 is down, like it won't drive. It's all wigged out between the 550, and then you turn it on, and it just starts like chattering the tires. You push forward, it goes in reverse. You push reverse, it goes in reverse. And
that's crazy. Yeah, because RC Propaganda had that issue, and I reached out to him because at first he thought it was just an issue syncing with the app, trying to program it, and that's
the email they send you is you should do this, and if you're near the app and whatever, it could have updated itself. I'm like, why the heck would it do that? If it does that, that's dumb. That you could be on the trail and it update itself.
Right.
So the email was a bit confusing, and then it was like you need to take off the pinion and have it do that self-test. Then if you did a firmware update, now you like, man, if I got to do that every time I do an update and I have to pull out and pull it apart and take off and let it
spin up. It's like setting the compass on a drone. Who wants to do that every time you go out and fly?
That's easy enough, but
after
I've crashed enough of them, I do it everywhere. Every time I go somewhere.
Really?
But I just stand in place and spin myself. I don't spin the drone around. I just hold it.
Equally goofy.
It looks dumb, but you spin in a circle, then you hold it level and you spin in a circle again, and boom, you're done. Then you're flying dizzy.
Next time, bring a wig and put it on the drone and do it, and then it'll give it crazier.
But so mine's out of commission because of that right now. I don't know. I'm gonna, I guess, swap in the.
So here's the crazy thing. So I just got that Reef's servo, and I reached out to Reef because I was like, "Look, dude, I don't know much about servos. Like I get the El Cheapo Amazon 25 kilogram servo,
Yep.
and I've had good luck. I mean, I run it on. I've pretty much ran it on every single rig that we have, and I've had good luck. There are some of my rigs that are starting to get a little crazy. That it's like I'd like to have a little more power. So I talked to him about which one would be a good choice, and I got it. But yeah, man, I don't know if it's like a shielding thing between some of the nicer servos or what, or if there's some kind of different
magnets or something with them. What's
yeah.
his name? Joey J just says he put the Axe 550 in the TRX4 and was going to replace the servo. It's acting funny. And again, they could just be messing with each other if they're next to each other. So what I have is that rock bouncer I built, the
Right.
green caged one.
Oh, that's
that's built off of a Wraith. So up front is the servo, and it's a raw 500. And then the motor sits way up in the middle transmission. So that's running a Castle system, and I'm just going to swap the Castle system.
There you go.
And it's a 540, which will fit better in the SCX 10.3 anyway. I had to do some hacking to get the 550 in there.
You know, it's funny. I just heard that podcast when you were talking about that, because I'm like, dude, when is he going to come out with another podcast? And I realized on iTunes, like your new stuff is below the fold. It's not it's because your playlist says like or series or whatever, and it says not in series, and then below the fold is all the new stuff. And I was like, there it is. I didn't even know that. So
maybe because I got rid of the numbering convention of it, and it's not including it in the series or something. I don't know.
So
I did start doing that.
Yeah, because I didn't know you had. I mean, there's got to be at least 6 of them in there that I haven't listened to yet. And I was like, oh, look at that. So, and I just listened to that one. Not all of it, but part of it where you were talking about hacking the motor mount out of it, or the plastic motor thing out of it.
Okay.
So
what happened was I was numbering them in the beginning, the episodes, and that number didn't correspond with the number that iTunes was giving them for some reason. Oh. And I hated that. It just drove me. So I just started deleting the number thing from it. I'm like, well, then don't number it, iTunes. Like, so that's probably what messed it up.
Gotcha.
I messed it up. So let's talk about that. You've got a podcast that you're on.
Yep. It's not my podcast, but I'm on it.
But you get in there and you spar and you go toe to toe about RC stuff.
Yep. Oh Canada RC podcast. Oh Canada RC the podcast. So.
Okay. Very specific.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. So you got into this 2 years ago. You came in hot and heavy on Instagram. You've blown that channel up quickly. And just from amazing content, engagement, activity that you're doing. So I mean, at least from when I started following, I mean, it's just increased.
Dude, so like
a lot.
Since January, we were barely at like 800, 900 followers, and we're almost to 7K now. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
It's been like crazy exploding off of that. And yeah, man, I mean, it's like, it was weird because Fresh Squeezed RC, shout out to him. I was, reaching out to him.
Channel. Epic Instagram.
Super epic. And I bite off his style all the time. And so I reached out to him and I was like, look, dude. And so here's the thing, being a creator outside of this kind of content creation, I knew I had a certain level of chops that I could bring to it. So I wanted to be able to say, I can do this. I remember one of the first crawler meets I went to, I was like talking like, oh yeah, I want to do this. I'm going to build a track in my backyard, blah, blah, blah. And I could see some of the guys being like, okay, yeah. Like, all right, guy, like, we'll see where you are. And then it's like, no, really, I can do this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know how to work. I know how to punch the keyboard and make some cool stuff happen. Like, it's like, I can do that. So, but I reached out to him and I was asking him tips on his social media. He gave me some good tips, and it's interesting too. And we'll probably get into that a little bit later about the social media and how much time that stuff
I definitely
want
to talk about that because it's so helpful to people that are in it as well. All of us, I mean, people that are in here, so many of us are doing it.
Yeah,
and I don't feel like it's a competition. Like
no, and so
I'm
that's
not
kind of
super competitive about it at all.
No, and that's one of the things that it's I guess we'll probably segue into that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, so
Yeah, and I don't want to forget about the Canada
yeah,
RC,
totally.
the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So the only reason I'm giving Jeff a hard time about that because I was designing some new channel art this weekend, and he was like, "It's the podcast," and I was like, "Oh, the podcast." Let me type that in real quick. So
I still need to get with him. We haven't hooked up.
I
Last
know.
weekend he said no. It was supposed to be the following weekend. So
Oh no.
I'm reaching out to him. I'm saying like, okay, it's the following weekend. Like, what's a good time? And
Yeah.
never heard back. So eventually,
Yeah.
maybe I'll just record my own end and he can like insert his questions ahead of it. I'll ask myself questions and be like, just ask this stuff.
Just give him a teleprompter. It'll be
Yeah.
like a debate. So
Yeah.
we won't go into that. My wife was like, "Don't get into politics. Just stay away from that." And I was like, "All right."
Jeff's in there. He's like, my bad not having you on yet.
So, but yeah, so I don't remember. It's kind of like a girlfriend boyfriend relationship because I don't remember who asked who first. If I mentioned to him or if he answered to me or whatever. Social media is a time suck. Yes, it is. Oh my goodness, big time. But anyway, so but yeah, we started talking and we had, it's one of those things where it's like, you know how you can talk to someone and you just kind of instantly say, oh yeah, I have a lot in common with this person, and we can talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever without batting an eye about it. And it just kind of took off from there. And then he was cool to let me give him some ideas about what I thought we could do, and on the next one or on the next one. And then it kind of morphed into this RC cage match thing, and we've done a couple of those. And the hardest thing is scheduling, man.
Yeah.
I mean, especially
and dealing with Canadians, so
the Canadian.
I see Matt in there from Scale Builders Guild. So
oh yeah,
I'll give them both a little dig.
They're probably already apologizing for us for nothing, but whatever.
For sure, eh? Yeah.
So, but yeah, and so it was a lot of fun, kind of bantering back and forth, and then I would give him a hard time about some of his Canadianisms that he would say, and it just kind of took off. And I'm trying to help him with however I can graphically or whatever, help him build his audience. But that social media and that kind of stuff, it's hard to build an audience, man. And once it does, it's exponential, right? It's like once you start, it's kind of like,
and it's really hard to build real audiences, right? Or engaged audiences. Because you can cheat it. Like on some of them, if you use the right hashtags, you just get like all the girls in the like scantily clad clothing that just sub and whatever. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting. So that's kind of how I got into the RC Amigos Instagram. So not scantily clad girls.
I was going to say, weird segue. Is that tip that you're giving Jeff as well? I know how to make your podcast go crazy.
Yeah. Canadian flag bikinis. That if he dresses up in that, he'll get subs.
ASMR podcasting.
Now, so where I was going with that is at my business side. I was trying to grow an audience on my business side. And like I was saying before, there's not a good community for what I do. There's a lot of people kind of showing what they do, but they don't really show, they show the end product, but they don't show a lot of the process sometimes. And because a lot of the stuff, people are like, oh, it's industry secrets or whatever. And it's like, no, everyone can get there by a different route, right? It's just a matter of like, for me now, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I want to kind of reach out and help people get to that point. But we had, and we still do have a lot of subscribers and followers that were like really good people that I wanted to have follow us, like big name people. Like, we had welding companies and welding apparel, but like, not just like, building the stuff in my closet, like legit stuff follow us. And so that was really cool. But it was crazy because like we just now hit 1,000 on Instagram for my business. Oh, dude, this is like all old stuff. Like we were just talking about redoing our website. But at the time,
it's still awesome.
Thanks. At the time, we were blowing people out of the water with our website compared to other people's websites, but for this, vein of work. But we had we had a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs that we wanted on it, and not a lot of people that weren't involved in on it. And we were doing a lot of video and cool production of video on the projects that we were doing. And then, but then I kind of got to a point where I was like, I just feel like I don't need to show off as much anymore. And, I think you're probably like 3 or 4 more levels of images. And then all of a sudden it's going to be all old stuff from there, because I took like a year off from my business side. And I took a year off just because I was like, I'm going to play with RC trucks. And well, the idea is that I was going to experiment on the RC car side and learn how to grow this account, and then go into the RC, and then, implement all that kind of stuff. So hence why I've been talking about maybe doing a podcast or some kind of live stream for the business side, just to kind of get more people involved. Because I just don't think there's a lot of, so what it is that there's like, people can say you're a sign guy or whatever, but I'm not really a sign guy, because I make signs, but I make a lot of other like interior design elements and like tables and sculpture and that kind of stuff. So we're not really a sign shop, even though that's kind of what we're fall into this category of.
Right.
And that's, there's a lot of us out there that are, the black sheep of the sign industry, or the misfits out there. And we do things a little differently. We've worked for sign shops, and we were like, we could do something cooler. So
keep it fresh, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, dude. Like, we will never have the same project twice. I mean, very rarely we do. And if we do, it's like, it's a good thing, because the company that we did something for is growing, and they want another iteration of what we did from before. So, but yeah, it's rad. I mean, it's a lot of fun, something different every time. I mean, the hard part is there's no like way of being like, it's like building an RC car. You don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know for some reason why you're building this and you can't get that last 2 bead lock screws to fit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just, and you're fighting. You have to walk away. Like,
10-minute job ends up being 2 hours because you strip the head out on the screw.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's stuff like that where you just don't know, right? And so we do a lot of these custom builds and design. We do all our design ourselves in-house, me and my wife, and then we go out and build it. So,
so you took a year off to do RCs and make it big on the YouTubes.
Yeah, well, I tried YouTube.
Instagrams.
I've kind of fallen off YouTube a little bit. I probably have 20 more videos I can right now upload to YouTube if I wanted to. That we made into like Instagram TV videos instead. I wasn't getting much traction with YouTube. And it was only because I wasn't as dedicated to it. It took a little bit more time. I didn't have the
hustle, man. The YouTube one's a definite hustle. When I started putting into Instagram, it grew a lot faster, like exponentially than YouTube. YouTube's like a slow, for most of us. There's the people like Kevin Talbot shot up. Like, dude's just entertaining. Like, he just draws people to watch, right? So, plus he's very well. He's very like he's in it to do it, right? So he's like he's figured it out. And there's it's not, some of it's, business acumen as well. That just goes beyond, I know how to make a video, right? So he's really done it. But I love what you're doing with Instagram. I wish that I was putting into my Instagram. Because I don't think about Instagram as my primary, so I don't go out and think, I need to get some really killer shots or like usually my photos for my videos are a screen grab that I grab out of the video. Well, I make my thumbnail out of it.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I realized after I hit a certain amount of followers and subs on Instagram. I realized that it's weird because you kind of have these like little levels, like peak and valley, that kind of go with your content versus video versus static or pictures, that kind of thing. And so I had realized at some point that I was like, I need to start actually taking more pictures versus just putting up 3 videos a day or whatever. I need to put some more pictures because pictures are easy. I can snap 100 pictures on an outing really fast and then get, 15 pictures that I could post for a week and them up and all that kind of stuff. And so my workflow for Instagram's way, way faster. And then I got an iPad Pro for Christmas or my birthday last year for my parents. And it has been awesome because I've been doing a lot of editing on that for video. I wish, it's one of those things in hindsight. So
have you tried LumaFusion for it?
No, I haven't.
It's paid, but it's epic.
It's
like $20. It is epic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, $20 for a tool like that. I mean, when you equate it to what you get out of it, I think it's totally worth it. The problem is, I should have, when I first got it, I was like, obviously super grateful. I was like, wow, this thing's awesome. But it only had 64 gigs on it. So I thought I could cheat the system because it has the USB 3 or USB-C on the side, or on the port. I thought I could cheat the system and just get a hub and plug in a USB flash drive, 128 gig flash drive, and do all my editing off that. Not the case. Like you need the bandwidth for it. I mean, it'll do all the editing for me.
You gotta then dump it when you're done. It's more of a storage, yeah.
Yeah, and it kills me for that. And that workflow really ate me up. But when I was really growing a lot, I was doing all my editing for the most part in bed on my iPad at night. And then so all my edits done, I'd post them as a draft. And then the next morning I'd wake up and hit send before the shower. And then I'd get out of the shower, hit send for the next one, and then get to the shop and hit send for the last one. And I'd be like, I'm done for the day. Right. And so, but then I started getting more into engagement because I think you gotta you can't just stick on the same road with social media. You have to kind of change lanes every now and then, like on the same highway, just change lanes. And so, I went from doing a lot of video, a lot of 60-second video, to then a lot of Instagram TV. Then I started doing a couple reels. The reels blew up, dude. I have a couple reels that I was like, really? 8,000 people watch that? That is crazy.
Yeah.
Within a week or whatever. And that's not huge numbers, but I mean, that's big for a little guy like me. I'm developing a brand through this.
Right.
A brand, like it's weird. It's like, I say a brand because I'm in that kind of vein all the time, but it's more of I'm not selling anything really. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a lifestyle brand, I guess, if you want to say, but
influencer brand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got some people send us stuff a couple of times to test out, which is cool. That was that's a slippery slope. I've been kind of going back and forth on how much I want to include my kids on it now. I mean, when you post a video, I have a video of my daughter at her first crawl meet, and that thing blew up. I mean, there was, I don't know if that one had a 40,000 view hit on it or something like that. It was something ridiculous on the metric on that. But it's like kid videos blow up, but at the same time, I don't want my kids to, they don't really know the social media universe right now.
Yeah.
I don't want them to ever look at it and be like, "Oh, I got this many likes," or "I got this many likes." I don't want that. When I was telling this to my wife last night, because we watched a movie about this, and I was like, when I first started doing these videos, I have, I'm sure you do, obviously, but I have tons and tons of videos and images. Seriously, I probably have 8 terabytes on my spaceship here of just videos and images of everything. Trips and all that kind of stuff. And I started doing it because I told my wife, because, a few years ago, people in my life started kind of going away, started disappearing, started passing away and stuff like that. And our generation, we have photographs and not everybody gets a copy of those photographs. Right. And so I wanted to have, it's weird because some people don't want a digital footprint, but I want a digital footprint as a legacy for my family to kind of see. And it's not necessarily just on the web, but that way, if I'm gone and they go into my hard drive and they have 8 terabytes of family pictures of us doing silly stuff, there you go. There's my legacy right there. So,
right.
And that's why I started doing the whole thing with, document
Yeah.
family going through it. Plus, it's a lot of fun and involving the kids in it. It's a fine line to balance on that.
Yeah, mine are in very few of my videos, and I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you want people to kind of tune into you as a person, and this is your family, and get a little bit kind of behind the scenes, and that it is really family. We talk about it being a family thing, and we really do it as a family. And but there's also that fine line of like, you don't want to put your kids out there to be made fun of, or all the other things
Yeah.
that come along with being on here. If I don't know if you noticed too, you're speaking of social media, all of this stuff, and RC Sparks even just as he's pulling his Facebook
Yeah.
account.
You were
He
mentioning
just doesn't like what's going on there. One, I think with Facebook and all the stuff that they track and do and whatever. But I think also just socially what it's done to people. Like, we're all at each other's throats about things on there. And, people that would have normally just been friends out on the street are all like, even me, you look at some of your friends from high school or different things, and they're posting stuff that you don't agree with or whatever. And you take to it a little differently, I think, when it's read and you can't have a conversation with somebody about things. And so it
it's
just
a
kind of,
classic.
in many ways, pits people against each other in a way that it wasn't before. We didn't really have that.
Right. It's like reading a text message, and you read the text message with like whatever kind of tone you read the text message with. Right. So like you can read it as like just straight monotone, or you can read it as like shaking your head back and forth as you're reading it. And it changes the context of the text message. And I see a lot of that, on social media. Well, mostly on Facebook. I don't really get on Facebook a whole lot. I cross post, but I don't live on Facebook. Most of my stuff's just on Instagram. But it like automatically posts to Twitter and Facebook, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I don't, it's crazy because people get these misconceived notions of who you are based off what you like and what's on your feed and what pops up. And I sent you the link.
They tell you who you should be as well.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah. It's just, and that was kind of the thing where with the business side of it too, I kind of had to like back off, because I was like, our agreement for business was my wife said she took the website and I took the social media, right? So I could have whatever tone I wanted to on social media. But I felt like on social media, I still couldn't even be myself. You know what I mean? I had to be it with we never wore ties, but it was kind of like I had to like tighten the tie up, for social media on the business side. I'm like, that's not me. You know what I mean? I don't want to do a statement and make sure it's like the most ambiguous, like across the board, not offensive to anybody's statement. It's like, that's not how I talk, like
I much prefer YouTube and Instagram over Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, so I do Facebook now, but it's literally just for RC stuff. So I can do groups, I can learn stuff, I can post in groups, but it's about RC stuff. I don't do it for personal stuff, and most of the RC guys, I don't even go to like my wall, just the home screen to see what it is. I just literally hit the groups. That way I can avoid all the political stuff, all the nonsense.
I don't even know how to. So it's funny. So you know how you have your pages on Instagram, or on Facebook or whatever. For some reason, my page feed disappeared, and I'm like, I don't even know how to get there. So I'm like, I don't. So I feel bad.
Just posting to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, whatever, But no, it's that aspect of the social media. It's getting back to the kind of the time involvement and like the what's it called, that show, I forgot what it was called that I forwarded to you on Netflix. I know you talked that you're not doing Netflix anymore, and I agree with that. I'm on the fence of that, like right now, because of all the stuff going on.
It was Social Dilemma.
Yeah, dude. So that was actually super eye-opening.
So who wins? There was a bet going on in the chat. General Hobby's like, I bet it was Social Dilemma. Anyone want to make the bet?
Yeah, no, totally. So it was really interesting. And it's stuff that, if you're already kind of deep into social media, you already know this stuff is going on. You already know that stealing all the information. You understand the fundamentals of what algorithms are and all that kind of stuff. And so it's not like awakening, like mystical stuff that they just pulled the curtain back on it. It's not really that, but it is eye-opening to what it's doing to children and what it's doing to like society and all that kind of stuff. So
Well, the cyberbullying and all that kind of stuff. I mean, even with YouTube, man, I just delete so many comments that are just like,
yeah, it was surprising, dude. I had a
posts.
couple. I very, very rarely get a bad comment on some of my stuff.
Well,
And
yours is just that much better than mine. So
no. Well,
I see where you're going. Let's do it.
Yeah. No, I had a couple. So I remember one time this dude just came out of left field and said something just asinine about what my kid was doing. And I was like, obviously I didn't engage with that. I was just like, delete.
Yep.
Well, then I had one guy and then one guy said something, and it was funny because I totally killed him with kindness. It was totally that like HR, wow, I hope you're having a better day, blah, 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 like being all nice, but like not leaving any holes to go back on and kind of a thing. Like, and at the end of the conversation, he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that, like, have a great day, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, but sometimes I think you can like get into that. And sometimes it's like, why bother? I mean, no one's got time for that. And you're never going to win a keyboard warrior, right? Because it's not like you're going to go and Indian leg wrestle this guy and win him or beat him at anything. So it's like not going to happen.
So if you had a tip RC wise, you said you've been doing this experiment with Instagram, and people like Sean, who may or may not still be in here, just started his Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He's refused to do it. It's too confusing to just look at pictures, I guess. But I like to poke on him. So
talk about cyberbullying.
Yeah,
Jeez.
cyberbullying. That's direct. He's gonna get his 24 scale here very soon, and I think he wants the Panda. Ooh. He's been eyeballing it. But so Sean came over to Instagram. What would you tell somebody just getting started from kind of what you've learned as like a quick tip?
I would say focus your interaction and content at all, like putting content up that doesn't necessarily always have to be produced content. There's a handful of us out there that are producing content that are, when I say produced, I mean like quotations, producing content where we're editing video, dropping music tracks over it, and transitions and stuff like that. I've learned that 15-second video that is just a good content of a car doing something cool will get just as many likes as a 1.5-minute video of like all these cool cuts and logos and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
we see you, Citizen RC. We see you. He's got 15 seconds of the most amazing stuff. Do you watch his Citizen RC?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Like 15 seconds of like beauty.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the thing is too, is like when I say focus your engagement, meaning you're such a bully. So when I say focus your engagement, what I mean is don't like barbecue pictures. Like so I have a couple different Instagram accounts, right? So it's like, I don't like barbecue pictures and pictures of polar bears and pictures of.
What did the polar bears ever do to you, man?
That's my spirit animal. That's my nickname, is the polar bear.
You don't like them?
No, I'm just saying I don't like them on my RC account because if you like them on your RC account, then the algorithms are going to be like, what's this guy looking for? Right. So if you just if you're doing an RC account and all you're liking is RC car, automotive stuff, method race wheels, to
help promote you to those people.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll get you in the Explore feed and all that kind of stuff. So, I do that. I think the jury's out on tagging and on hashtags. I'm for it. Maybe that's kind of the old school way, but
now, do you put them in before or after you hit post and it sends it to Facebook and Instagram or to Twitter and all that?
Before.
You do?
So
So you let those tags go, useless tags to Facebook?
yeah, I
'Cause
mean,
I've never used tags or anything on Facebook. I don't
well,
even
you
know
don't.
how they really use it that well. They've
Well,
been
okay,
starting to, but
you don't see the tags when you embed a tag on the image or on the video, not in the comments, but on the image or the video. You don't see them in Facebook, so it
mine
doesn't.
come through in the description.
They do?
Yeah.
I don't think mine do. Like if you go to my Facebook, all you see are the tags that I physically type out and the
Oh
context.
yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, so you mean you just tag people as in the video?
Right, right.
Okay.
And so that way it's kind of a discrete way of tagging them. That really builds a network, I think. And then the hashtags, I think the jury's out on hashtags. So, okay, so let's
I
back up.
definitely grew thousands this year using tags, hashtags. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do all the time.
Because
And
I
I audit.
refused to do it before, and then I'm like, I'll give it a whirl. And
Well, what
man,
I
I
do
grew
is,
like crazy from 1,000 to 10,000.
yeah, I audit my hashtags probably every month. I'll wake up real early on a Sunday morning and just kind of click on a hashtag, see how many people are viewing this hashtag or whatever. If it's doing well, I'll keep it. If it's not doing well, I won't keep it. New cars come out and there's new vernacular for these cars. I'll look at that hashtag, see how that's going, add that. So tagging people is kind of a sensitive subject, right? Because in the RC world, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it doesn't hurt your feelings, or I don't know, if someone tags you in a video. If someone tags me in a video, I am kind of like, cool. If the only thing that kind of, and you can change the settings, if someone tags you in a video and then people start commenting on it and it catches fire, then you're constantly getting pinged about that.
Yep.
But you can change your settings to how you see that too.
Yeah.
So, and if that's a
I was gonna
notification,
say that's the one thing is like I've gone and removed myself from some of them. If it's
right,
like blowing up, I'm like, and I'm gone. Because even if it
right,
doesn't send me a notification in my little heart bell thing, like I can't actually find comments to my actual stuff
right,
because
right.
it says that I have like 10 comments, but it's actually other people commenting on just something that you're tagged in.
Yeah.
So some of them, if it blows up too much, I will remove myself, but it has to
Yeah.
be
And
pretty
so,
big.
yeah. And so what I do, and that's the part where you kind of fall into that hole of maybe not responding to somebody, where like, say there's comments, and say there's 10 comments that you see in your little bell, and 5 of them are from a post that you were tagged in, and the other 5 you're like, where are these comments? And so what I do is I just click on the posts that I did and see if there's any new comments on those posts at the end of the day and
Yeah.
reply to those. But
It's
yeah,
surprising how many old videos I get comments on or photos still. Like
well,
somebody will find you and then it's like they'll post on something old and you're trying to find where did that guy, because you see the notification like on your
yeah,
phone.
right. And
And
so
you're like,
that's kind of the thing that I'm kind of crossing my fingers happens with YouTube for me. And I've read a lot about sometimes people do YouTube and start it and then it doesn't catch fire for a year, and then all of a sudden their video will be relevant somehow and it'll start getting more traction. So I'm hoping I get a little spark, and then if I do get a spark, then I might go back into YouTube.
yeah. And well, and the thing is, I think views in some ways play a little different on YouTube. And that was the whole thing with, so I've been doing it for work for years, like video production and all that. And everybody was like, oh, Facebook videos, look at all the views we're getting. And it was like, if you scrolled past it and it started playing for 3 seconds
Right,
as you're scrolling past, it counted as a view.
right,
People
right.
may or may not have watched it. On YouTube, I think you have to watch it for 10 seconds for them to count it as a view.
Sure. Yeah.
And so like there was all these like big numbers that you saw for Facebook, and now Facebook owns Instagram. And so I don't know how they count when you're scrolling past and it starts auto playing and there's no music or whatever as a view, where you don't get that with YouTube. You have to click into a video. Like
Right.
you
And hang
have to want to watch it. And so
right.
it's a whole different number. So the numbers may be smaller, but that's not necessarily bad. My main thing is I go by watch time.
Sure.
So, and that's kind of the difference in the algorithm with YouTube is wanting like more watch time, because that's what YouTube kind of cares about.
Right.
Versus, and so there's different things to do there too, because you want that number to be up because it helps. And so you make your videos longer, because if some people click in and say, oh, this isn't what I thought it was, this is not a real mud truck, it's a little toy, and they click away,
Right.
that just like totally kills your your average to
This
have
is
somebody
amazing,
cut
dude.
out.
This is a Kyosho charger. Like, yeah, no, I get it.
Right. So if you have a longer video and the people that actually like it and they watch it to the end,
Right.
that helps push the numbers up. But if the video's 6 minutes long versus a 2-minute video, which used to be like everybody do short videos.
Right.
Well, now you do a short video and some people watch it 10, some only make it to 130 or whatever your outro kicks in. They tell it's done, they've seen it. Well, that didn't really pull your average up very much.
Sure.
Because, and so it's a little bit of a game.
And that was one of the things that I was starting to play with a little bit, because I started that diabetes trail op series where I would go on a hike and document it as I was driving. Because I would, I always take my trucks out for walks. I don't walk my dog, I walk my trucks. So I go out and we go out on the hills and stuff like that, and I'll take videos. And some of those videos were long, but dude, they were like, we talked about this once before, how they're just brutal sometimes to get through editing a 20-minute video. And so sometimes I'm like, you know what? We'll do it live. I'll just let it roll. Like, I'm not going to do any edits. I'm just going to put an audio track over it, maybe float a logo here and there and call it good. Like, yeah. But still, it's a process, because it takes time to import, export, takes time to sit there and watch it upload to YouTube. Like, it's.
Yeah, I'm usually holding on, like trying to make it. So that's the thing for me, is like, and I've had to get better at it. And I should do this. Some people just put the same tags up every time, whether it's in that video or not. Mm-hmm. They like tag every single company that's a car company. And before I used to be like, okay, that sucks. Like, you're just trying to draw eyes. Well, I mean, that's what they're trying to do, right? So they're literally trying to draw eyeballs. And so whatever. And so I should probably just make something in my notepad, because I hate typing on my iPhone. I despise it.
I've got a trick for you. So in reminders on your iPhone or your iPad, in your reminders, create a list that is RC hashtags. And so then you have one radial button that's hashtags, one radial button that's like actual account tags. And then I have one for YouTube, and I have one for all the different like criteria that I do. So then I can just go in and copy, paste, and drop it in.
Yeah. So I do it. I use the notepad.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I have some that are the basic ones, and then I fill in the ones that are pertinent to the video, like RC Life, Idris RC, CCX RC, RC Cars, RC Truck. Like, those are all very basic. I don't usually do all the companies, because if it's not a Traxxas and I click on it and I jump there and it's like, okay, I hate you, unfollow. I don't really do that. I don't do that, but I think about it sometimes. I honestly do.
Okay, so here's a
cheater.
Yeah, here's an esoteric question for you. So maybe this is going to tear a hole in the universe.
Oh boy.
Why? And I've gotten to this point. Why should I tag a manufacturer? Why am I doing it? Right. So like, am I doing it in hopes that they're going to send me stuff at some point or give me a discount at some point? Because the odds of that are slim. Maybe every now and then.
Reposting, if it's Arma, they repost a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but they can do that
on their social media.
But they can get that through a hashtag. I'm talking about tagging an account in a video or
but
picture.
They may or may not check the hashtag, and there may be more. So if you tag them, they'll see, oh, we've been mentioned, right? So it's more of a mention tag. You're mentioned that you're in there.
And I guess that'll get you. I wonder what the conversion rate of them reposting will get them to click on your profile. You see what I'm saying? So say
I don't use those tags I don't use the mentioning tags very often where you tag people.
Sure.
I do like the one thing I do tag is I do tag the companies.
Yeah,
That's
and that's
probably
what I
the only
normally.
people I'll tag, like if Reefs is in it, so that
Yeah,
it'll pop up on theirs if I'm mentioning them.
right.
Spectrum,
I
Horizon, Traxxas, whoever.
I do the same thing, but sometimes I wonder why. Like why am I doing it? Like
I'm
it
like,
kind of
see,
goes back.
Traxxas, I don't always hate on you. Look at how cool this was.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes I'm like, what's the end game here?
What's
Why
in
am
it?
I?
What's in it for me? Yeah,
Yeah, or
I don't
like
know.
sometimes I'll do this video, right, and I'll put like a nice overlay on the video. Now, there's like I'm a team driver slash builder for Scale Metal Supplies. Same with Ovonic, and I'll put their stuff on my stuff because they send me perks, and that's great. And it lets me experiment with certain things. But you know, I got there, I guess, by tagging, but I wonder some of these bigger companies, I don't think they're gonna look at my 7,000 users and be like, oh, that's cool. Those are rookie numbers. Like you're gonna have to pump those numbers up, Wolf on Wall Street. So
Yeah, no.
yeah,
I think it all depends on they'll look at your feed and see what you're doing. So, um, but I don't know.
it's hard too.
I'm the last person to ask about that because I am so lazy about it, especially with Instagram, because I can't make any money on Instagram. I can't put links. I can't put links into the video.
So I don't know if you saw that Instagram's going to monetize soon.
The videos, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that would be something that I would be interested in, but I don't think I'm that invested. I mean, I am because I love doing it, but maybe until I saw some kind of like quid pro quo kind of stuff, for like, I don't know. But sometimes I wonder why. Like my wife asked me, "Why are you doing that?" Like, are you doing it to get people to say you make cool stuff? Or are you doing it to get sponsorships? Or are you doing it, for the kids? Like, why are you doing it? And I'm like, I don't know. I like it. My equation was, if I was a studio artist, which that's what I went to school for sculpture, it's like getting my stuff into a gallery, right? And that's my platform to get people to see it. And if they like it, great. If not, great. But that's kind of my venue.
Yep.
Instagram, my gallery for what I'm doing right now. And it just so happens to have a community behind it, which is awesome. Like
Yeah.
I love the community behind Instagram and the RC community, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes I wonder, like, commercially, like, what am I, like, am I trying to commercialize my fun too much? Because you and I both know it's
a lot of work. So if I'm
it's a
gonna do
lot
it
of
for
work.
YouTube, I want to, because it's literally like 4 hours a day.
That's crazy.
Every evening.
So is that
Starting
okay?
from like
So
10 to 2.
so
10
here's
p.m. to
the
2.
here's the question though: is that 4 hours a day that you're actually sitting in front of the computer, or is that
Yeah.
4 hours a day including the time that you pull out your phone and you're looking to see what your notifications are? And
Oh no, it's more. It's more than that then.
Yeah, so that's the hard thing, right? So it's a lot of time. It's
Yeah.
a lot of time to do that, because
Responding.
I find the same thing, and I've always tried to manage my time better. Being a creative person, it's really hard to have time management. And I always try to be like, okay, I'm going to do these edits at night, put them in the draft box, send them out in the morning, interact at noon, interact at night while I'm doing my editing, kind of like that cycle, right? And so I have that kind of hard balance on how to do all that. Because it is a time thing. And then, at the end of the day, like, if you're doing 6 hours, my thing is like conversion, right? Conversion to dinner on the table. If I'm doing 6 hours of something, should I be making a meal out of those 6 hours for the family, or should I be, posting cool pictures of my RC truck with my logo in the background? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so it's a hard thing to kind of look at and to see where my time should go on it, because I love making the videos and I love taking the content. And to me, it's like the, back in the day when people used to do puzzles and stuff like that. I know people still do, but it's more of like, that's my kind of like respite. Even though I design everything I have to build at work and it's my design or my wife's design, there's still brackets on either, once it's designed, I have to stay within this bracket. I can't really color outside the lines too much.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do this stuff, I can color outside the lines is all I want.
So that for me is what got me into it, right? So I do video all day,
Right.
That's my job, but I'm doing video for somebody else.
Sure.
Right? And so with YouTube and my own thing, I can do whatever I want. I can create the stories or the little extra posts that I want. I'm in control of what it looks like. I don't have to necessarily look for a difficult storyline and thing out of like all the interviews that I have. And, so what we do is, it's for fun. Like it keeps me editing, keeps me sharp on it, working fast. Cause you shoot, like right now I've got on my GoPro, like I took the kids to music lessons while they were in there today. I went out back and drove the DR10 drag car that I haven't driven in 3 months about, it seems like, and did video of that. And I'd put in this new gearing and I never had time to drive it. So
no, I totally get that. I totally get that. You're going to need to get, I know you talked before, not that I'm like creeper on you, but I know you've talked about your family having vans in their past. You're going to have to get like a cool creeper van, like 1-to-1.
Oh yeah, man.
And slide your door open and have all your RC cars come out while you're at music lessons and be like, hey guys.
Yeah. You guys want to drive an RC car? That's not creepy.
Yeah. Free RC car lessons.
Yeah. So I go out back where there's nobody, and except for trash cans to hit.
That might be even more
and
creepy.
I rip it there. So
as long as you're not starting like a dumpster fire or like,
right?
garbage can fire while you're out there racing your cars, I think you'll be okay.
Just want to quickly say thank you to Randy Scott. He just gave a $20 thank you for the live stream.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for that. It will go into the costs that we would incur with this. So the other thing people don't know is like, so I keep, and the other reason it's nice to make some money is I spend like $300 on music licenses for a year. Yeah. I spend $200 to have podcasts used through Podbean. I spent, there's so much money that goes out, new little tools, or my cat destroyed one of my microphones. I had to buy a new microphone the other day.
That's why they call it a dead cat, right?
Yeah, right. Should be a dead cat. Not really, but I love that cat. It's the coolest cat ever. He just destroyed my mic. He bit through the cable. I had to buy a new one of those for $100, and it's just like, come on. See, there's a lot that goes out to it. Some of it I duplicate over use for my work too, but
sure.
But yeah, it's so I try to go where I can make some money back. I don't necessarily do it for the money.
Right. Well, you know what's funny you say that? That was kind of my gateway back into RC. I didn't even put that together. So that drone that I was talking about, I was like, come on, honey. Like, if I get this drone, I can fly around the buildings and the signs that we do and make really cool videos and post those, and we'll get a lot of more business and it'll pay for itself. And it did. I mean, I wasn't a licensed drone pilot, but at that time it was kind of like a lot of gray area. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of gray area. So I was taking these cool videos and flying over the city over a sign that I did, all that kind of stuff. And but that was kind of my like what's the scapegoat? I was like, hey, yeah, I could do this, and we could, write it off on the business, and I'm doing, cool stuff with it. And then I ended up taking video I produced a couple, or I shouldn't say produced, I'm not that fancy, but I did a couple videos for some clients that include drone photography. And I remember one of them was a mini golf place. And this is before I
just watched that video. That was really cool.
Oh, you did?
With your phone and the little, the action cam G or G.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going through the little hole and all that. After the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know
you the putter cam and everything. Yeah, it's on your website.
Yeah, so all of that was done like on the cheap, basically. And so I got one of those cheap Walmart New Bright RC cars, and I put some gaffer tape on the Yi camera and put it on the hood and drove it around the hole and did all kinds of fun stuff with that. But yeah, that was kind of my entryway into the RC car stuff again. So that was a fun little project. And
Flat
you
stick,
know,
that was it.
yep. So we just, I guess, another segue. We just won an award for a sign that we did for Flat Stick in Spokane. That video is Pioneer Square, Seattle, and that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, that's it. Crazy.
Yeah.
And there's another video that I did with what's the brand of that drone? It was the first drone I ever got. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a Space Needle that I built, that I did the video. I was flying around the Space Needle with this little drone, RC Logger. That was the brand of the drone. And it would carry a GoPro, but I was too cheap to buy a GoPro at the time. So I had the Yi camera, and I'd fly up around I flew up around. I mean, it had like no stabilization. The drone had no stabilization. The camera had no stabilization. And I took it up in my shop and flew it around this Space Needle that I built and chased my dog with it. And it was cool, man. Like, it was fun getting into that. And that's kind of like where I started like getting back into it slowly. And then, once the kids came along, I had an excuse. So that was good.
Very cool. That would be sketch flying that around the needle, though. I've lost a couple drones.
Oh no! Well, this wasn't the real. So I built a scale Space Needle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I did see that on your art.
Yeah, it was
I
like
was thinking around the real one, having like off.
No, I'd be taken away in handcuffs. So
yeah, right.
That video that you did see, though, the opening of that video was a drone shot where I'm flying,
swirling down.
Yeah, that was sketchy because that's right next to CenturyLink. And there was a no-fly zone area there, and it wouldn't let me land. I took off, and I came back down, and I was like, it kept on bumping me out. I wanted to land over in this parking lot, and it kept on bumping me out, and it wouldn't let me land on the sidewalk. I had to stop traffic and like land it right in the middle of the street and like sketchy land it, like hockey stop it, land it kind of a thing.
Oh man, I catch it at that point.
Yeah.
I always grab them by the feet.
Yeah, I used to do that, and then I saw Julio Iglesias get his hands taken off, so I was like, I'm not. Or Enrique Iglesias. Did you see that video where he got his hand chopped up? He was dude, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. So he was singing at some concert, and this drone was like flying around him as he's singing it, and he's like reaching out to it, singing to the drone, and then all of a sudden it's like, and like takes off his finger, like cuts into his fingers, and I'm like,
oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm in control of it, bringing it down to grab it, because we used to fly them out of boats. Yeah, so we'd take them down in like Iquitos, Peru, on these like rivers, and you'd fly them out of like little canoes. Yeah, and it was epic, super sketch.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we'd have to catch them because there's no place to land because the boats leaked, so the floor was wet.
Yeah, I've flown in some pretty crazy snow. I have one video on my Amigo art site, I think, that I flew in snow. That was just a whitewash of snow, and I've flown in some spots that I probably shouldn't have. But,
well, hey, we've been going about an hour and a half. We should wrap here soon. But I do want to ask you one more question, probably like, what would be your favorite thing about the RC hobby? Like, what is it that draws you to remote control cars?
Ooh. I think it's my love for automotive stuff. I'll try to not get too deep into it, but like I originally wanted to be an automotive industrial designer, and I almost went to a school in Pasadena that all the big names went to for design, and I decided it kind of wasn't my cup of tea, so I didn't end up going. But I love cars and I love styling cars and I love building cars. And in the car culture community, there it is a community. And you go to hot rod shows and there's old guys and young guys, and they have, for a while everyone was like, oh, Fast and the Furious cars, they're not real hot rods. And then they got accepted after a few years because they had staying power. And then it's the lowriders and it's the muscle cars and it's the 4x4s and all that kind of stuff. And that really crosses over to RC. And just talking to someone about your build, I really like talking to manufacturers and talking to like other business owners in the RC field. I got a shout out to JJ Customs. He's been a really cool cat. He's the one that we did the metal bridge with, and collabing with him on that. And that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy, and like talking to people like you that are like-minded and creative. And I guess I don't know if I would. I guess we could call it in the industry. I don't know if that I'm an industry person yet, but a creative person
in the hobby, right? We're in the hobby. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I enjoy talking to people like that, and sharing their kind of experiences and knowing that their struggle is the same as my struggle. You got to put the kids to bed, got to figure out how you're going to make it home. And, you want to go out and do your crawling. How do you get your kids involved, or how do you not have your kids involved? I wake up at sunrise to go out and do some of my stuff so I can, get my shots in and all that kind of stuff. So,
it's a grind, right?
It is
a little bit of a grind, but it's a fun grind.
It is. It's a fun grind. And it's, to me, it's like, I don't go to the gym. I always joke about this because I don't go to the gym. I lift metal all day. I do lift my mouse a lot too. I'm one of those weird guys that's like, some days I'm full on just sitting behind my computer and drawing. And then some days I'm out welding all day long. And, so I get a good balance of it, but I don't go to the gym because I feel like saying I don't have time is one of those things. I've said this before. I hate saying how busy I am sometimes, just because I know there's always someone out there more busy than I am. And it's kind of like an ungrateful thing to say.
Yeah.
But I don't make that effort to go to the gym, but I make the effort to go out and do a 3-mile walk with my RC truck. And sometimes that's probably more reflective for me than it is sitting on an elliptical machine.
Right.
I don't have to impress anybody with my abs anymore. So, and now I just get funny looks when I'm on the trail at 6 a.m. with my RC truck,
right.
Whatever. So,
yep.
But
we get those. We all get those. It happens.
I had one video where I caught it on video where some lady's like, "You're a grown man playing with a toy truck," as I'm like walking by her with my truck, like in my headphones on. I'm like, "Yeah, see ya. Have a good day."
They don't realize that we're having fun. And that's really what I love about the hobby is it's fun.
Yeah.
And
totally.
And the whole reason I do this, I mentioned money and other things, and I just do it because I want to be able to do more. And so the money part is helpful. And so that's why I've kind of pushed YouTube harder than anything, because there was a monetization available. And when I started doing it, it was a way easier threshold to even get monetized.
Sure.
And now it's much harder.
That's what I wish I could. And that was kind of like that stand that you got was kind of what I was thinking about breaking the threshold. And at first was, okay, how can I develop something where I can make money just to subsidize my addiction? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how do I make money just to like keep it off the books and buy cool RC car parts? And at first, that's what I thought that was going to be. It turned into me being like, I think I got a big contract at that time. And I was like, you know what? I like the cause that 11 Charlie had. Shout out to him. I like that cause. So I was like, let's just do this instead. And so we did. And I never really pursued selling parts or anything like that. Did that one with JJ Customs, which is cool.
See, and that I think is more of getting away from the fun side of the hobby too. Because then you're grinding like, oh, if I got to do parts, or I got to, make so many bins of screws because people are ordering like crazy and keep stuff going out the door. Yeah. I think that I would be like, ooh.
It's tough, and so, I mean, there hasn't really been a big growth to that, but, if there was some way, and I think that's why I do, and I didn't mean to like cast any shade on, tagging manufacturers and stuff, because obviously I love the manufacturers if I'm using their parts and their equipment, right?
Right.
But it would be really rad to be able to be like, well, okay, so one manufacturer kind of rubbed me the wrong way one time, and I ended up going with someone else. And it was just because I think they thought I was asking for something for free. And I was like, no, dude, like, I just, like, how can you, like, I would like to try this and put it in a spotlight, all that kind of stuff. But you got to realize, like, you and I have a lot of, what's it called? A fleet, right? And so when you're buying for a fleet, and you've never used this part before, it's kind of like, that's a big investment, right? Like,
right.
and so, and for me, I always joke about everything I do is threefold, right? So like, we got crawlers, and then all of a sudden we had to get 3 crawlers, and
Yep.
it's a very first world, and we're very blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, first world problems.
Yeah, and
Right.
and the thing is, and I use them, and especially this last summer, I used it as a crutch, saying, we don't have sports. We don't have that kind of interaction. Let's do something that's going to preoccupy our mind, and that's going to teach the kids something, and that's going to get their, ideas going, and let them learn it might be a stepping stone into a trade. I'm okay with my kids learning how to, because, people are always like, a lot of people don't think the trades are as useful as they were before. And I will argue 180 degrees the opposite. And, I get called in to do crazy welding every now and then, and that's not my gig, but sometimes no one else can do it. Like, people call me up and they're like, hey, can you weld stainless? I can't find anyone that can TIG weld stainless. And it's like, yeah, bring it over. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's cool because I feel like no matter what the economy is doing, I could go and weld mufflers if I needed to.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so
you got a trade that you can do.
yeah, and so, like, if I give my kids at least some kind of aptitude where they can take that and run with it if they have to, awesome. You know what I mean? But yeah, and so, like, going back to the monetization part of it, it'd be really rad to be able to have that kind of, and yeah, I think people think sponsorships as like they just send you free stuff, and it's like, no, you got to put in work, and I think you owe them that also, and I'm cool with it. Like, I love having cool stuff, and if someone's thinking that I do cool stuff and they want to put their product out there with our cool stuff, dude, I'm all for that. You know what I mean? I'm all about sharing that kind of stuff. And I'm not the kind of guy that's, if they send me something and it's not what I expected, I'll let people know.
Right.
I'm not going to let people know in a negative way, but I'm going to be like, yeah, I think it could have used this as an improvement, or it's a good, like, you can use it like this. But
Here's
then if
exactly what it's good for, because
yeah,
most things have a purpose.
right.
So like WL Toys, it is not a low C. It's not a Traxxas,
right.
but it is a good entry level, get you excited about the hobby. There's hop-up parts you can get for it. You can upgrade it. You can work on them when it breaks. And that's awesome to get people in at that like $100 price point, right?
Oh yeah. No, totally. And that's what we did with my son. And there's a video way back at the beginning when we first started our course of him doing one of his first big jumps, and he almost sent it right into me. And his expression after that was like, that's when he got it. That's when he was like, yeah, like, and so
I almost hit dad with the car.
I know. And there's been plenty of those, what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, that was his like entry into the RC hobby. And same with like my daughter. My daughter's more of a kid that's into wrenching. I think she wants to get into racing. And so we're going to do that. We're going to be building a slash kit for her. So she understands what it takes to set up a race car. And a slash is, it's not a race. It's not for that type of race car, but I got it so that we can be universal and she can still play and have fun, even if she doesn't stick with track stuff.
Yeah.
And so, she's into drifting too. So I think, that'll be fun to see how that progresses and how she learns how to wrench on that kind of stuff, and
Yep.
a little out, and win a race or two. So
Yeah, me and my son did the Tamiya Bagheera, the little race semi truck. It was a pretty easy. I did the diffs for him. He did one of them. I did the other. But we're gonna do the SMT10 kit because it's a fun build.
Oh, dude,
Um,
I have some footage of that I've been, like I said, I've been kind of battling if I want to put more of our kids on it or not. But I did the front axle, she did the back axle, and we were side by side just building the axle together, and super rad. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Super rad to be able to do stuff like that. And I don't think she's too interested in driving the monster truck, but she just had a fun time sitting next to me building it.
right.
And my son's more of the wheel man when it comes to the monster truck, but that ground
That's
pounder, man,
awesome.
it's a thorn in my side. It's a great truck, but I'm just fighting it. I'm about ready to like get it back to stock and see if anybody wants it, and then get
Yeah,
another
at
SM.
one point, Crawford Performance sold a plate that allowed you, and you could make one. I mean, that you
Right.
mount a
That,
SMT10 transmission
yeah,
to it, and then you could do metal gears, and that
but the
helps a
same.
lot.
Yeah, it seems to me though it's an antiquated platform. It's an
Yep.
awesome platform for playing, but I think if you want to get crazy with it, it's kind of antiquated, and you're going to have a hard time with part support with it. Um,
I kept hoping that they were going to take that Wendigo and make it a new monster truck.
I
I
wanted
thought
to.
for sure
Dude,
with those axles.
I contacted them and asked them about collaborating on something like that, because I would have totally metal caged out a monster truck frame and put those axles underneath it.
Yeah,
Because I think you saw, I put monster truck tires on the Wendigo and played around with it for a while, and it was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't set up like a monster truck, but
right.
it
They're
looked like a
locked,
little,
right? Axles are locked.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it makes it a
yeah.
little squirrely.
It does. Yeah, it does for sure. Especially when you put a lot of power to it. It wanted to just flip right over. So, but yeah, I mean that it was a fun truck, and I could totally see with those axles putting together a cool truck that way.
Yeah, if they built one out from it, they were one of
Yeah,
the first to do the solid axle, and they did the four steer.
yeah.
Crawford Performance, I think, actually helped to design it for him back in like 2008, I think it
I
was.
think I heard that before. Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's
but
a
the
cool rig.
braces for it, those braces from Freestyle RC made all the difference for mine. I
Yeah,
really never had axle problems until I really bent one of them, but I
right.
didn't break the casing. I just
Yeah,
really reamed out the metal
the
axle.
the crazy thing, the only problem I'm having is gear mesh on the spur.
Stripping
I
them.
keep, I keep on
You just
blowing
got
them
to
up.
get a metal one. I had a metal spur on mine, but I
Yeah.
don't know
Well,
where to get them anymore.
I can't find them. I can't find
So
them. Like I've been looking all over for a spur gear for that. And then the other problem is if you get the Mod 1 spur gear for it, trying to find a Mod 1 with that kind of tooth, it's always like a 5 millimeter shaft. I mean, you can get a
yeah,
sleeve for it, but it's at what point do you say go another direction because you're putting too much money into that
yeah, I would
platform?
totally go with the SMT10. They're just so much fun.
Dude, the last couple of videos I've been posting with ours, I mean, that thing, it's like an elephant jumping into a pile of donuts when it lands. It's
Yeah,
just so butter. Like it just flop, and it's nice. I like it. So it's a lot of fun.
it's just sticking.
Oh yeah. Like, and
Yeah,
it's all stock setup, dude. And like,
yeah.
I mean, it just lands nice. I put those munition tires on it, and that
Those
helped
help
out.
because they're pretty soft tires, so
Yeah,
they
dude.
absorb too. Yeah,
Yeah, those tires really helped out a lot, and I love it. I love that truck. I think it's a lot of fun. I wish we had another one. I'm crossing my fingers because I entered the raffle for Fresh Squeezed. He's raffling off a Gravedigger one, and I'm like, oh please, oh please, oh please, because if we had another one, number one, my son's head would explode if he got a Gravedigger monster truck, right? Like to play with. His WL toys, we put the Gravedigger hard body on that came off of a Hot Wheels toy, and he was all about that. And then we moved that to Everest 10
mm-hmm.
crawl. But I mean, that would be epic. And
Gravedigger's
especially,
where it's at, man. They are right down the street from us.
oh, I know they've definitely been one of my favorites, if not my most favorite ever since I was a kid. We used to have the Kingdom out here. Now it's
Yep.
not that. And the Kingdom had some awesome,
Good
awesome.
racers.
Oh, dude, we had monster trucks, mud bogs, sand drags, all kinds of cool stuff in the Kingdom in that one show. You know, it was Hot Rod, the USHRA was the entity back then. Oh, it was so rad, so awesome.
RC Show saying he did a Mod 1 with a 550 brushless motor.
That's what I got in mind, and I keep on blowing. Well, I don't have a Mod 1 metal spur. I had a Mod 1 plastic spur, and it blew it up. I don't know if that was a gear mesh issue or what, but
I blew up all of mine when I was plastic until I went to the, I don't know what it is. It must flex or something.
Right,
a little bit. You know, the way the chassis is. I don't know, because I blew so many up.
Yeah, and it's weird because I don't know if it's just that the pinion ride's kind of high on where it hits the spur. If that makes any sense, it just seems like it's at an awkward. Once you get that metal spur or that size in, you have to slide it so far over. I feel like you're not. I don't know. It just feels like the leverage might be weird, but yeah. No, I thought about doing the SMT10 tranny on it, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just.
I thought that so I used to race mine, and I actually always, so I had the SMT10, I had two SMT10s, and I had the Red Cat ground pounder, and I always did better with the ground pounder, even though I put all my time and effort into the SM, because it was so wide, and I had the Pro Line tires on it. So whatever mine worked well with the Pro Line tires and wheels. Everybody else had a fit trying to get them on. And
now, what kind of shocks did you have? Did you have it on a trailing arm or stock?
Stock.
Oh, dude, my stock shocks.
And it would just like, it would jump and like get like weird, but it would always just slap and just go and land and take off.
That's crazy.
The shocks were just loose and just always hitting stuck and just took off.
My shocks feel like old bed springs.
Yeah.
Like they or my kid's shocks, I should say. It's his monster truck, but yeah, they feel like old bed springs. They just feel like it's just like all over the place when it's going. But I could rebuild them, I guess, but why?
Yeah. Well, next you got to do a mud truck and get your yard all muddy. Just put some mud tires on it. Yeah, you don't even have to get one. You have a mud truck. All you need are the Dragon wheels and the Fling King tires.
Yeah.
And they just slap right on there, and now you've got a mega truck.
So I've got, dude, see, I think that'd be a blast. I have 2 builds right now slated. And one of them is my daughter's Slash. The next one is that Nova wagon that we were looking at.
Yeah.
I'm torn on that because I might tear down the flatbed truck that I have to build that Nova wagon just so I don't have to buy another chassis. Everyone's saying don't do it, buy another chassis, and I'm like, that'd be nice, but you know, it's like I don't know, we'll see. But I've got those 2 builds, and I'm wondering what my build after that is going to be, because I always start planning ahead of time. A mud truck would be cool. So like I wanted to do a mud truck, and I've wanted to do a drag truck because I like going fast. But out here, and I think you might be in the same boat weather-wise, after the next month or so, it's going to be tough to get a drag car out. You know what I mean? Like the weather is going to just change and
too cold,
rainy, cold.
Oh no, we have awesome winters.
Really?
Yeah, like so summer we stay inside because it's so humid here. It is brutal. It's like 90 degrees and 90% humidity. Ugh. Like we live in the Great Dismal Swamp. It's awful. Yeah. So I do a lot of my indoor stuff in the summer. Okay. And that's why I'm so stoked about this RC shop and being able to do that in the winter.
Oh, I saw that.
In the
that
summer,
looks bad.
In the winter, we go outside. The snakes aren't out.
Yeah.
You put a sweatshirt on, you're good to go.
So you don't get snow?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We get snow. I mean, we get rain and snow. A lot.
We get about maybe a day of snow.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we've been that way, but sometimes we get snow for like a week at a time, and then it
Oh
sticks
no,
around for.
no, we get like
That's
a day and then it's gone.
that's crazy. That's
It's
awesome.
super mild
Yeah,
winter.
we get a
That-
lot of rain.
yeah,
So the rain is what would kill a drag car out here. I mean, there's just no place to do it. I mean,
yeah,
parking garages, people have said that. So
that would work.
yeah.
Well, Pablo, thanks for coming on, man. This has been a lot of fun getting to know
Heck
you. We haven't really chatted before, guys,
yeah.
and this is our first time. So this has been exciting. We'll have to have you on again, see where
Oh
your
man.
channel's at again a little bit later.
Yeah.
We'll have you on the other podcast as well.
Sure.
Just for a call in. That's a little bit easier. You can do it
Yeah,
from
for
home
sure.
or wherever.
I have to bake in
And,
front of this light here.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, it's so bright.
I know. I've got mine, but mine's got a nice soft box on it, so it's not too bad to look at.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
but thank you guys, everybody in the chat. Hopefully, you guys have gone over. I gave you a link and hit up his. I think I did the wrong Amigo. Here's the link. I think I did your art one.
Oh, Amigo Arts.
Yeah, let me do this one. RC Amigos, and definitely click over there and
I feel bad. I'm just now
follow.
looking and I'm like, oh, I probably could have clicked on comments and seen all the comments. I only saw the ones that you threw on the screen.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't click the tab and see all the comments on there. Oh well, next time.
yep. There's
Cool.
11 Charlie Blue Dooley. Lots of people in here. RC Mask Master, RC Show Off, Green Frog, RC Earl RC was in here for a while. Earl Moorhead, Joe
Wow.
Mack, General Hobbies, J King RC, Brandon Timblin was in here. Fog City, he's out. Is he out by you?
Jay King is out by me. Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Where are
just
you
south
at
of me.
exactly? I don't even know where you're at. Are you-
So we're northeast of Seattle in a little town called Monroe, Washington. So we're
Okay.
about
I
45
thought
minutes.
you were in. See, I saw your stuff with the Space Needle and the Seahawk. I don't know why I still thought you were in California though.
Oh, no.
I was totally way off, man.
That's what I'm saying.
How
PNW,
far are
man.
you from like Bremerton and stuff? Are you on the East Coast or the East
So,
side
okay,
or the
so
West?
Bremerton there's a body of water in between Bremerton and Seattle proper. And so you have to take a ferry to Bremerton.
Okay.
So Bremerton is a 45-minute ferry from Seattle, and I'm probably a 40-minute drive to Seattle.
Okay.
It sounds like a long ways, but it's not. I mean, I go into Seattle all the time. So
I've tried to get to Bremerton to see an MXPX show there. I was going to bring my son.
Oh,
One of my sons
wife-
loves them, man.
my wife would crack up because you're probably around the same age as us, even though I'm like super gray. I've been gray since I've been 20. My wife we used to have a place out here called the Firehouse out in Redmond. Yeah. And she was I don't think she's in the post or watching right now, but she was like the Kool-Aid dye hair kind of girl. Like,
Yeah.
she was, she was that punk rock chick. So
Oh,
she
that's
knows
awesome.
a lot of those bands. So
Yeah, there was like 90-pound wuss came out of Olympia.
oh yeah, there's a few out there. I wasn't so into that scene, but yeah, there was a lot that came out from our area that were like punk, smaller indie bands. That were
Yeah,
pretty
well,
cool.
you guys had like Tooth and Nail Records were out there, so
I'm not
out on the
familiar.
West Coast. But yeah, that's who they were with. They were down in Cali, but they're
That's
getting
cool.
a lot of the stuff. But yeah, anyway, well, thanks guys for tuning in. We're getting into music stuff now. We'll wrap here. Thanks again, Pablo. Thanks to everybody in the chat for tuning in and hanging out with
Thanks
us
for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, it's been fun. Anyway, guys, thanks. We'll see you.
Take it easy.
Have fun RCing.